Hello, everyone. We are live, 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 live. I want to say thank you to all our guests. I want to thank you to all our viewers all around the world. We'd like to know where you're connecting from, your name, so that you're highly welcomed. And I also want to thank all our speakers, uh, Dr. John, Aket, Moto Olori, and Adegoke Omotola. Great to have you today, and thank you for honoring my invitation under a short notice. I am really very honored and very humbled. And basically, I would be opening the floor with John Ackett. He is going to be speaking first. We are talking about rebuilding the family and the community. And before I go into introducing our first speaker, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Sandra Uko. I'm a Maxwell Leadership Certified Team Member, Speaker, Coach, and Trainer. I'm a sales expert. I've been in the sales industry for the past 20 years in Lagos, and I'm also an author, and I belong to the Toastmaster group. And basically, I do a live show that I do every Monday. I bring people to tell their stories of how they've been through trauma and trial to being, successful, being on the journey to being a success, so that the generation behind us can learn and get equipped. They don't have to reinvent the wheel. They don't have to fall into the same pitfalls we fell in time past. They can have it easier. It is said that hurting people hurt people, but we are leaders and coaches. We forget whatever the hurt are is, and we move on. We try to help people not to hurt others. We try to coach and help, make our world a better place, making a difference in our world. And today, and regarding Win was an initiative born out of my mom. I wanted to do this 11 years ago, but eventually didn't come true. But last year, where I was about launching my first book, Can Anything Hold You Back? Making a Difference in Your World, I thought of it. I said, this is an opportunity to launch both the book and the foundation, which is Women Youth Influence Network. The why is silent, because if you have a mother, the mother will be taking care, the youth will be taken care by the mother. But in the absence where there are no parents, then we take care of the youth, because we believe that when you take care of a woman will always think of her family. She will always think, oh, my husband, my kids, my mother-in-law. She is like everybody's person. So we say, okay, let's take care of the woman, the one that will always remember the kids and the youths as they grow up. So, but in the absence where some do not have both parents, we say, okay, let's take care of the youth, because youth are the leaders of tomorrow. If they're well taken care of and they are guided aright, they will become the great leaders that we're looking up to. And so today, this is the reason why I'm bringing this together. And so, okay, let's have some kind of discussion. Let's learn from all the experts in the field of family and community who will be talking to us. And for those who probably might not be able to join us live and may be coming to watch the replay, it's a video for all. Please share with family and friends, so that, one or two things they can pick from this show. Thank you so much. And our first speaker is Dr. John Ackett. I want to quickly read his bio before he starts speaking. John Ackett is an educationist. He's also a servant leader who assists leaders and organizations going from where they are to where they want to be by offering coaching, training, speaking, and writing services. Dr. Ackett is a repurposed high school teacher, counselor, and administrator, university administrator, and professor, teaching and graduate and doctoral level leadership classes. He has won numerous awards, including Andrew High School Teacher of the Year, District 230 Teacher of the Year, runner-up Illinois State Teacher of the Year, Illinois State University Hall of Fame, and professor of the game at Lewis University. John is the CEO of Making Connections, a leadership consulting company affiliated with Maxwell Leadership. He is a growing and learning entrepreneur in speaking, coaching, and training, passionate about equipping leaders to develop other leaders to serve. John is a monthly contributor to the network marketing magazine of 40 plus articles, and he is the author of the LinkedIn newsletter Thursday's Leadership Insight, with 175 articles, over 200 subscribers. Wow, that's awesome. He's been married for 45 years to Becky, and a 43-year entrepreneur, and has three daughters and two grandsons. John is also a long distance bicyclist as an open water swimmer. Awesome. An unquivocal three-ton competitor. Great to have you on this show, sir.
Well, thank you.
But
Thank
we'd
you.
like to hear from you.
Well, I appreciate it. And once again, thank you for the kind words. I'm blessed, and I have during my career I've been blessed to work with folks much like you see in front of you right now, who are high quality people who add value to people. So I want to say thank you, Sandra, of course, for the invitation, and Mute and Goke for what I will learn from you as we talk more today. I'm a great believer in listening and learning. I have my notebook ready, actually. Oh,
Awesome.
and I want to certainly congratulate Sandra. Uh, uh, Congratulate her on, gosh, a 1 year anniversary for your foundation. And when you think about, you know, what you're doing, I was looking the other day as we've been talking about this, about the vision statement of what if we had a world where everybody made a difference, a positive difference? What would it look like? Think about that. You know, and what if we had a world where people understood and worked in their purpose? What would that look like? What would we have? So I think the idea of helping people work in their purpose makes a lot of sense to me. And I think the other idea too, I think that comes with leadership. And honestly, and I'll probably say this twice because I think it's most important. Sometimes we think that leaders have just big titles. And that's really not true, because I believe a leader is anybody who inspires, whose actions, not words, whose actions inspire people to do more, be more, and become more. And that's not a John Hackettism. That's actually from the sixth president of the United States, John Quincy Adams. But it's really true. If you think about it, we can all be leaders, so we can all add value. So I think that when I look at what Sandra is doing with this organization, the potential is really limitless. And if you think about the whole idea of giving back, yeah, I do believe if you're given, too much is given, much is expected.
Yeah.
And I firmly believe that that is so true. And could there not be a bigger time? In preparation for this, and I'm a professor by background, and so I tend to like research things. So I took a little look around. I thought, well, what does homelessness look like in the United States and in the world? The numbers they're more than staggering. I think they're horrific, actually. You take a look, according to UNICEF, or is the number? Yeah, 28 million kids are considered, I've never heard this term before, street children. And that's awful. 28 million. I think 28's horrible. 28 million is just horrific. In the US, it's 2.5 million. When we consider in the US, 1 out of 7 kids is raised in poverty. When you put those pieces together, what it tells me, having worked in the high school system for 39 plus years before I went on to the university system, I knew when I worked as a counselor with students who were not doing well, families weren't doing well financially, they weren't being, let's say, raised up, I guess would be the right word, the proper way. You know, the handwriting was on the wall to where they were headed. And the worst part about that is who's going to raise them then? Their parents or someone in the court system. So it really does worry me a whole lot, and I think taking steps like Sandra is with her organization make a lot of sense. Because truthfully, when as we were talking, remember we came up with the Proverbs 22:6. You know, direct your children into the right path, and when they're older, they won't leave it. When I look at my own life and other people I've worked with and know, I was just with a group of retirees, and every one of them had a path that they had taken, and they have not left that path. If they're still giving back to society, they still are today. If they're not, they're not. And I think it does work both ways. If we do not direct the child properly and intentionally in the right path, they're going to find a path. And that path probably won't be the best. So, what does that really require? I think for us, what it requires, and it kind of a rethinking, I think. A lot of times you'll find people, and not that I'm thinking donations are a bad idea. I think donations are great. We should be doing them. But just handing money out to folks, frankly, look at the welfare systems in the world. You know, do the welfare systems in the world ever bring anybody off welfare? Not very much. Not very much. Because we're just giving them things. And really, I was reading in a place from a ministry in Nashville, here in the United States, that the more money you give away to people just to give it away, the more disrespectful it is. Because the message is, well, you're not good enough, so we'll just give you the money. I think we have to take another step. And I think the step is that we really need to think about, how do you raise that child up? What actions can we take, as Sandra said very well, outside of our comfort zones? What can we do to connect and engage and help people learn? Connect, engage, and help people learn. How can we help them do that? It's more than just giving money, it's mentorship. It's looking, for example, in the John Maxwell organization through Transformation Table and Change Your World tables, where people can come together. And what they do is, and I believe this is really, really true, when we can connect with people and we can engage with people and they can learn, especially if they can learn their purpose, that's that first step to moving forward. And once we can do that, what we do is, when you connect, engage, and learn from each other, you create stories. Stories bind us together. Stories bring us together. A long time ago, I used to teach U.S. history. And what is U.S. history? Stories. What's the history of, for example, Mute and Goki's country? You know, the history is stories. What are the stories? And those stories bring us together. So I really do believe that what I love about what Sandra's doing is she's working on a program to deliberately develop those connections, engagements, and learnings for stories. And the first step is purpose. Now, the term purpose gets thrown around a lot. And actually, anytime I do workshops, and I work a lot with now school administrators, I'm working with some bank groups and some real estate groups, and I work with high school kids. And it's fun. Actually, the high school kids are sometimes more fun because they'll tell you like it is. You know, they're not worried about being politically correct. They're funny though, and you learn a lot. You can learn a lot from them. And I have found that when you talk about purpose, they go, well, what do you mean by that? Well, here's how I define purpose. I think your purpose is, what actions do you take so that you create a benefit? So it's actions that create a benefit. That's really not, I'd love to take credit for it, but it belongs with a man named Simon Sinek, who wrote the book Find Your Why. I would encourage that book to anybody. And I have people from high school students to superintendents in college and university presidents writing out on 2 lines: I teach, write, coach, that's what I would write, and train to equip, so that I can equip leaders to add value to society. It's a little 2 line phrase. I think I do it in every workshop I teach pretty much. You know, it just because it makes sense. It makes sense. And once we're adding value, we're giving back, which is one
Sure.
of the things that's huge about what Sandra's talking about, giving back. And then as we look at it, people say, okay, what kind of programs are there? And there are certainly name programs we could throw out, but any program you build has to really meet 5 criteria. 5. And I call them laughs. LAFFS, laughs. All programs, frankly, I believe all organizations, all families need to be need fulfilling. They need to be built on laughs. Let me quickly talk about those in our little time here. L, love and belonging. In an organization, when you're working with students who are homeless or you're working with the CEO of an organization, do you feel cared for? Do you feel taken care of? Do you feel like you belong? Love and belonging. A, can you be successful? Are you doing the things that help people be successful to achieve? And another A, do you acknowledge it? It's one thing to be successful in a job and be achieving, but if no one acknowledges it, then that really does kind of take away from what you think of you.
Yeah.
So I really do believe that's a big part of it. And is it fun? Now you may say, wait, fun? You know, I once had someone say to me, well, it's work. It's not fun. Well, really? If we don't enjoy what we're doing, that's fun. And you know what's real fun? When you're working in your purpose, when you know you're making a difference. So I think it's a huge part. The other F is flexible and freedom. We need to reach kids where they are. So I always get a little worried when you're going to take a group of kids and we're going to take them to this hotel someplace or to, I think we need to meet kids where they're at, in their schools, in their homes, in the community, whatever it takes. And then finally, is it safe? Do I feel safe there? Can I express my opinions without being put down? Is it secure? Laughs. 5 little things. I always put up a hand and go, laughs, those 5. And what's the benefit of that? Well, interesting. If you think about the benefit is that what we can do if we really listen and we ask really good questions, and that's where Maxwell coaches come in because we've been taught to really listen and ask really good questions. Once you do that, you can connect and engage and learn. And when you do that, what's the end result? And it's funny if you think about it in this Advent season, what do we talk about? Peace on earth, goodwill to men, right?
Yeah.
The short of that is shalom. Shalom doesn't mean just peace. Shalom means completeness. How do we make our communities complete? And that is, I think, where Sandra's nonprofit is heading. How do we make our communities more complete, working with kids and their families to then communities and on? And those are my little thoughts on purpose, needs, and finally, shalom. My peace to all of you, my completeness to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was a great one.
Thank you. Thank you so
That was
much.
a great one.
My pleasure.
That was a great one. Yeah. Yeah, great to have that. And I would want to quickly do a recap. We can all be leaders. I mean, we can all be leaders, meaning that if all add value to people, seeing value in ourselves and adding value to others, we can all be leaders. So that was a great one. And you spoke about, what you appreciate appreciates. To whom much is given, much is expected. Much is expected. So, and that's it. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he would not depart. So that was a great one. We need to connect. We need to help people learn through mentorship. And so our next guest today is Mute. Oh, your screen, I don't know, it's not coming up. Mute?
I'm
Hello,
here.
Mute.
I'm
Yeah,
here.
I can see you, your face.
Whoa.
Ta-da.
Yeah. Okay, I'm seeing you now. Good. And our next speaker today is Madam Mute Olori. But before I bring her on board, And before she starts speaking, let me quickly read her resume. She's a highly motivated and result focused, well accomplished media practitioner with proven results and hands on experience as a media producer and director, communicator, actress, political strategist, and an administrator, a licensed coach, trainer, speaker, and youth mentor of the John Maxwell leadership team, and a certified parenting and family value coach, the lead facilitator at the Transformation Academy, a leadership training camp for boys, bottom to boardroom, and girls, attitude for latitude, ages 9 to 20. Awesome. She's a convener of the Transformational Parenting Network and Facebook, host and producer of transformational parenting radio and television shows on DSTV 253, AIT, and Liberty Radio and TV. He's host for Total Woman on ADV, AD4 TV and radio. She's married with 3 biological children and many mentees. She's very passionate about the leadership, empowerment, and upliftment of women and their youths. So great to have you, Ma. It's awesome.
Thank you so
So
much. Thank you, Sandra.
you get to speak while we'll
Thank
listen.
you. And I'm super glad to be here. The truth is, we are all in this together. And thank you, Sandra, for doing this, adding value to people. They say a drop of water may not make an ocean, but every drop put together makes an ocean. And
Mighty
thank
one.
you so much. Thank you so much for doing this. And I would like to say congratulations again.
Thank
Let me add
you.
my voice to John to say congratulations to
Thank
you,
you.
for this. I'm super proud. And everything in life takes courage. And thank you for taking that courage. Many times we've procrastinated about the things we need to do, including the family, the care, the support, the structure we should put together for our families. Sometimes we procrastinate. I'm going to do it. I don't have the time. Children that the world is teaching what to do. John made a quote, said, train up your children the way they should go. And when they are old, they won't depart from it. But what we're finding out today is a lot of parents are leaving that responsibility to society. They're leaving that responsibility to caregivers. They're leaving those responsibilities to schools. Teachers should do that. We try to find good schools for our children because the things we can't do, we just expect the school to do it. But unfortunately, we've not been able to build a society that will take that responsibility of us as parents. So what do we find in dysfunctional society, raising children who end up becoming dysfunctional because dysfunctional parents are not available to raise those children with the right principles and values they need? First of all, when the purpose of a thing is not known, abuse is inevitable. So we've
Sure.
lost the true value of what family is. So I would like to remind every one of us that the family is the bedrock of the society. Without the family, there is no community. And without the community, there's no society. So family is not just an important thing. Family is everything.
Yeah.
Memories we make, when we're together as a family, is what makes us. So it's true that we don't choose the family we belong because
Sure.
family is God's gift to you and I, just the way you and I are gifts to the people in our families. So until we understand this fact, that the family is the beginning of any community, that the family is the grassroots of every trend and culture. How did pop culture come in? How does the different culture, the things we see, the trend, they all started from one space. So I would also want to define family as not just the father, the mother that lives in a home, but it's also the gathering of people that have the same mindsets, that have maybe the same political, religious, or traditional affiliation. So you see, family has moved from just where we are as brothers and sisters into communities. And so that's why you find people belonging to communities on Facebook, belonging to communities in cultural tradition or tribes where we come from. So these things, once we can understand that these things define who we are, then we'll begin to make conscious efforts to put the importance that the family deserves. So family does not just give us, yes, it's the best place to provide for the human basic needs. That is if you know. So we're so focused on providing these needs that we forget that these needs that we're providing for only help to meet necessities, but do not form character. And character is key as a family. So I would want to look at what are those things that would help us as a family. If we can build these values in us as a family, how can that help to form and inform the community we find ourselves? And in return, how the community and the family can work together to bring to an end, if not possible, but reduce the level of vices we have in our society today. And that's where you and I come in. As coaches, as trainers, we have been called by God to somehow bridge the gap that exists in society today. So I don't see what I'm doing as a profession. I see it as a calling, as a burden, because destinies are involved. And if parents can realize that, or people, adults that have teenagers, have young people around them, can realize that it is a responsibility, it's a call to defining how society turns out, then we will begin to do things differently. So I would like to anchor this on Galatians 5:22 to 23, because I'm a person of faith and I believe that there's a supremacy that governs the universe that we do not understand. And so it talks about values. There are certain values as families that we must imbibe, that we must teach. But if you don't have values, what do you teach? The adage says you can never give what you don't have. The values of kindness. Teaching every child to be kind. Imagine if every parent teaches every child, or we grow up in a society where kindness is predominant. We won't have cases where someone is involved in an accident, and the first thing we are doing is bringing out our phones to record and break the news. Back in the days, you would find people wanting to help. But people are more conscious about, oh, I need to break this news. Oh, this is happening somewhere. It has eroded us that value of empathy. We no more empathize. We want to break the news. So, if a child grows up in that environment, he does not understand what kindness is. He does not understand what integrity is. It does not understand what the fear of God is. But these are values that we should uphold in our families. And in fact, if families could do that, then this same thing, remember I said, is the integral part of society. Then, of course, communities and society will definitely grow to have those values of kindness, honesty. What is honesty today is no more objective. Honesty is now individualistic. So it's the way you view it and the way you interpret it. That's what honesty is. But no, God has created these values to be universal. It doesn't matter where you're English or you're from Robo, where I come from, or you're Indian. These values are supposed to be universal. So people don't give their own individual interpretation to this, but that's what we have now. So until the community begin to work together with the family, until we begin to see that these are building blocks of the people we turn out to become, we will continue to have the problems, the vices that we have. Recently, I think that was this December 10th precisely, the world celebrated the Human Rights Declaration, where we say every human being has a right to life. Every human being has a right to being respected, right to fair hearing. But what has happened today? We don't have respect for each other. And respect is one of those core values. But parents don't have respect for children. Adults don't have respect for young people. And therefore, young people grow up to say, I need to defend myself. And in the process of defending myself, I cannot have respect for people who say, do what I say and not what I do. Family is about modeling. So if we need to change the narrative of where we are today, we need to see family values as the root to the next generation. You and I can't do it alone. And I think that is why somehow God called me into the parenting lane, where for over 20 something years, I've been working with teenagers. I'm a teens teacher in church. So I've been working with young people all my life, or let me say, even before I started having my own children. My eldest daughter is 24 years old. So before I started having my own kids, I've been working, impacting, influencing young people. Young people just need someone to listen. How many of us are listening? How many of us are teaching our children the value to listen? And when you can inculcate the value of listening to young people, then you can help them to grow the value of patience. Because active listening comes from being patient. So if parents are not patient, adults are not patient, of course, this is a fast lane generation where everything is digital. I mean, you can imagine how fast digital is. That you are in America, I am in Nigeria, West Africa, and here we are all in one space. That's how digital and level of speed that young people run with these days. So it takes the parent to be patient enough to understand the children. It takes the adult around young people to be patient enough to listen, to empathize, to help, and then to add value, to correct, to teach. And where do you teach? You teach from a place of love. We lack so much love. There's so much hatred, bitterness, anger, anxiety that people have no more value for life. I've had stories recently, and it breaks my heart, that people just think that suicide is the next alternative
No.
to solving problems. And I feel that these people are selfish, because if they know the value of family, they won't be doing what they're doing. But you see, this action is beginning to teach every young person who loses his parents or one adult or their role model to suicide, is teaching that person, that child, that that is the best way out. So what is life after all?
Hmm.
So it's important that we begin to change our mindsets. We begin to transform ourselves, renewing our mind, go back to the place of God. I'm sorry about that. But you see, the Creator is the one who created what family is. The first procreation we ever had in life came from a directive given by the Creator that says, go into the world, dominate, procreate, and replenish. So he's the one we should go back to. The good book contains the values, the instruction that we need. Until we go back there, we'll continue to have the problems that we're having in society today. So how do we How can we rebuild families so that they can be valuable to communities? Every family must be intentional about building the value system in the home. You must agree what are the values we should stand for in this family:
Mhm.
excellence, hard work, patience, respect, kindness. List the values. Let the children understand that this is what we stand for. So when they go into the society, they will be out there to impact and influence another child about these values. Secondly, every home must have core values, what they stand for and what they stand against. So you don't only talk about the don'ts, you talk about the do's.
Mhm.
So what is what we stand for, and this is what we stand against. And the older ones in the household should model these daily values to the young ones. And so that means we're passing the values from generation to generation. So when the parents raise the older ones with these values, it becomes a responsibility of the your older ones to pass the value to the younger ones. And what does that help to do? It helps to create a form of bonding from one child to the other. And finally, these values should be repeated again and again. One thing I've learned with working with young people that repetition is important.
Key to learning.
So these values should be repeated again and again. We should say them verbally. We should put them in writing. We should create, designs in our homes that depicts the value. But most importantly is the value of love and peace. The world needs peace today. And if we say the family is the bedrock, is the unity, is the bond, is the building block of any society, then peace begin from the home. And peace should begin from here, in you. When you have peace, when you have joy, you share it around, and the society becomes a better. So we can do it.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Really do appreciate that. That was a great one. Very great. Thank you, Madam Mote. Make conscious effort in whatever you do. Family being the bedrock of the community, and the community in itself builds the society. A dysfunctional family brings up a dysfunctional community. In order for us to reduce those vices in our society, we must have a functional home, a functional family in order to have a functional community. Very great. We've all been called by God. We are leaders in a different sphere. And beyond making money, it is said that you're made for your calling and you're paid for your career. So whatever we
Mm,
do, this is our calling. And only God and eternity will pay us. Money can buy it, money can pay you. So I appreciate
mm,
that word. We have been seen by God and called by God. So let's work to the calling that the Master has put us to. He has given each and every one of us a calling. So what are you doing in your sphere? I am doing mine. What about you? So check it out. And you spoke about all the values. Advertising is key. We need to teach our kids. There's this saying that says, example is what two in the market. Example is better than advice. We say it by mouth, but our kids are watching us. We are the first model to this family. So an example is what more than an advice. Do less of talking, model what you want the kids to do, model what you want the family to imbibe, and you'll see them change. Teach your children to be active listener. That was a great one for me. I said I'm going to go back and do that to my kids, because it teaches them not just only to be good listener, it also helps them to be able to empathize with others, and helps them to be patient. We're in a fast moving world where everything is moving so fast, and this builds patience in them. And you spoke about repetition. Repetition is a key to learning. And that's why you see your teacher after teaching, when they come to the class the following day, they want to recap what they said the previous day. It is for emphasis, and it's also the key to learning. So we need to design these values, put them all around us, just like we do our vision board, just like we write our vision. Habakkuk 2, verse 2 says, write the vision, make it clear that he that
Okay.
run see it and run with it. So let's put it all around in the restroom, in the bathroom, everywhere, such that it keeps pictures stay in the memory more than written words. So once you're able to see a picture, you're able to picture what those values are. They tend to stay longer than written words. So let's imbibe this. That's a great one, Ma. I would have to go back to the video and watch again some great lessons for parents to go back to teach. Thank you so much. And the next speaker, I don't want to keep us longer than necessary. I just want to go straight into inviting the third speaker. And before I invite him, I really quickly want to read his bio, what he's been doing in his own word, where he's making a difference. And that's what we ought to do to every one of us in our world. We have all been called out. We're not here to compete. We're not in a rat race, but we're here touching lives and making a difference in our world. Adegoke Omotola is the CEO of First Degree Consulting. He's a former banker, having worked with UBA and Fidelity Bank PLC. He's the author of the book titled Customer Retention, an Experiential Approach, published in May 2009, and Practical Selling Skills, published in May 2013. Adegoke is a graduate of finance from the University of Lagos in 1992 and bagged a master's degree in property valuation and law from the prestigious City University Business School, London, in 1997. In addition, he had an MBA management awarded by the University of Lagos in 2000. He is a certified customer service trainer from the Service Quality Institute, Minnesota, US, USA, in 2011. He was certified in legacy training in August 2013 by the Zig Ziglar Incorporation, Dallas, Texas, United States of America. Adegoke was recently certified in August 2016 by the John Maxwell team as a coach, trainer, and speaker. Adegoke Omotola is a full member of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management, a speaker on the platform of Conference Speakers International and Speakers Incorporated in South Africa, and was recently conferred as a Fellow of Professional Speakers Society of Nigeria in June 2019. He is a mentor with Faith Foundation, public speaker, and life coach. He's happily married with children. Awesome. So the floor is all yours, sir. Well, we'll glean from you.
Thank you, Mite. I'm just so honored to be here. And um, Mite has spoken very well. I also want to
Sandra,
appreciate.
just to correct
No,
you.
no, no, no. Just hold on a minute.
Okay.
Mite spoke before,
Sure, that was a
yeah,
great one.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm just appreciating that before
yeah.
coming to you. I know you are also, you're a veteran, so you're good
Oh,
at
I
what you
thought.
do. I'm coming back to appreciate you,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
so yeah. Mite has spoken very well. Thank you for your thoughts. Very deep, from a place of love, speaking to the children and also listening. I also want to salute John for sharing, your wealth of experience over 5 decades of, adding value intentionally. I salute and celebrate
Thank you.
your depth. Also being a professor, my dad was also a professor of law,
Mm,
so I know what it is to do a lot of research. And I also want to say a big thank you to your wife as well for supporting your career and vice versa. I'm coming back to Sandra, who is so excited to be here because she's excited because this is 1 year of touching lives. I just want to celebrate you as well. This is my second time of being on your platform, and the first time was awesome for me. And I just want to thank you for allowing us to come back again to share. Um, I'm not going to be as detailed as Professor and a veteran broadcaster meeting, but at least I
Yeah,
just
that's a
share.
great one. Very
That's
great.
fine.
Really awesome.
But I like to just add my voice to this discourse. I believe strongly that we have to start from a place of the internal before we can have the external. If you're not inspired, I always say that you expire. You know, you expire within a very short time. So it's about what you carry. From self leadership. What are you made of? How are you able to build yourself up? So there has to be intentionality. I didn't just show up here because I woke up and you've read the resume, but beyond that, it's not just about the resume. It's about doing the little things on a daily basis to add value to yourself, and you can now reach out to others. And we become like a magnet. We attract a lot of attention, um, not just locally but also globally. If you have values, principles that you live by, and those principles, I'm also a person of faith. Um, in addition to speaking, I also have a congregation as a pastor. I've been a pastor for about 15 years. And my community is police officers. Um, and, that's a very unique area, where they enforce the law, they go out and they try to prevent and detect crime on a daily basis. So they also have families to contend with, and the challenges are enormous because
Hmm.
um, they have battles they're fighting internally. So it comes from a place of the internal before we see the external. And so I'd like to just say that this is built on three things for me. It's called the FKG factor. You find, you keep, and you grow. So how do you find the youth, women, youth, family? We must be intentional as we go out there. What kind of family do we want to raise? And self leadership is important, but you must also discover yourself, self discovery. If you discover yourself, you find that when you show up, you're coming out with a kind of mindset that is not selfish. But if you don't discover yourself, everything will be me, 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 and it leads to self destruct. So, and that's where the work is, to discover yourself. Who am I? What's my purpose? What's my assignment? You know, and there has to be an alignment when you show up out there. And so, when you look at it, self discovery, that means you found yourself. Now, when you find yourself, the next stage is how can I find other people? You know, the Bible says, when a man finds a wife, he finds a good thing and obtains favor from God. But if you don't find yourself and you find a wife, you make a mockery of all the, of that leadership. So you might just believe that your wife is out there, to take care of you. But just like John, he does the chores, cleans the toilets, the bathroom, and because he's found himself, he knows that look, for him to be a better leader, he has to also be able to lead by example. So when you find yourself, you're able to pass on greater values, into your children, into your wife, into your community. Um, and so that's finding. Then the second thing is keep. How do you now keep? It's not just finding the people and doing it once and for all, but you have to be very consistent. And that's where life is not just a sprint, it's a marathon.
Mm.
Sometimes you feel like, wow, it can be overwhelming, but if you know your assignment, the Bible says God created man in his own image. He said, let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. I'm being, quoting from the scripture. Keeping, you need the grace of God. The Bible says, without grace, it's impossible
Mhm.
Sorry, without faith, it's impossible to please God. We need the grace of God, to show up every day. Because if you want to do it by your strength, you run out of steam. Showing up for 1 year, I know it's been the grace of God even for you. Keeping your community, making sure you still deliver value again and again and again. I have a podcast. It's called Leadership Talk with Adegoke. I'm also wearing the hoodie. I've had the podcast for about 2 years. It's on Apple and it's also on Spotify. Um, but I found that I've done about 94 podcasts, and the first one was very easy, but the second one was a bit tougher because I asked myself, do I have to keep on
Thank
doing
you.
this? You know,
You.
I have to pay for, to host to be on the platform. They keep on deducting money from my account on a monthly basis. And I look at it and say, wow, you know, and people reach out to me from diaspora and say, look, I'd like to be on your podcast. Um, so we've been able to keep things going through the grace of God. And one of the things that helps us is, we're coming from a place of intentionality. We want to add value. So it's not, we found a lot of joy in it, but also from a place of wanting to live out a legacy, a purpose. And people come back and say, wow, thank God for that podcast. It really helped us to get clarity on this, whether it's on innovation, resilience, agility, on family, on men, women. Um, so, um, for me, really, it's not just about keeping, but also my family as well. They are also excited about what I'm doing. My wife sees me as, someone who is adding value to nations. My first shirt from for the podcast was done by my daughters. They made a shirt, printed for my birthday. Leadership Talk with Adigoke. That was how I had the first first shirt. So now the hoodie.
Awesome.
So it's not just about showing up, but now I'm able to keep my family as well. We share a lot of love together from a place of love because they see me as not just showing up out there, but showing up on the inside in the family. Now, the next one is now the grow. How do you grow? Uh, it's a lot, as leaders, to show up and grow the people that we lead. Like I said, it still comes from within. You have to go into collaboration. I'm being called Mr. Collaborator. I collaborate with anyone, anywhere in the world, whether it's Australia, whether it's the US, Africa, and the UK. Uh, John will say that if you want to go far, you know,
Go with
you go
people.
with others.
With
Yeah,
others.
Yeah.
yeah. Um, if you Google my name, you see me appearing with quite a number of people all over the world. And I'm very intentional about that. The Bible says that God said, "Let us make man." God, in our own image. The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. It's a collaboration, the Trinity. Um, so I believe that that's one of the easiest ways to continue to grow. Then you can now pass on the torch to others. Because if you show up alone, you run out of steam. So my wife is there, my children are there, the youth, the community. I also work with the community. So um, it's a thing of joy. You see the consistency, you see the authenticity, you see also that you can't do it alone. You need the support of others. I get a lot of input from other people globally and locally, and also for my wife. It's a team. It's teamwork. If you see me show up out there, it's because there's some people pushing me. I have accountability partners. I've done almost about 60 sessions with John Maxwell team members, collaborations, my podcast. I've done physical trainings. Um, Even with my children, we do exchange ideas. So even the police community, I have collaborations. And recently, I also joined the police as a special officer, voluntary though, but So I wear so many hats. So, but it still circles back to a place of self-discovery. If you know your assignment, it makes life more worthwhile. And the Bible says that the grace of God is sufficient for us. I'm not just showing up because I'm doing it physically, but the spiritual controls the physical. So connecting the dots again, going back to finding yourself. Um, then when you find yourself, you find others. Then you keep, the community that you have, your wife, starting from micro level to the macro, which is now the collaborations that we're doing on a daily basis. And so I'm so privileged to be here, and that I just want to yield the mic. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Awesome. So great to have you all. And that was a great one, sir. And just a quick recap on what you just said. If you don't inspire, you'll get expired. That's another time I'm hearing this word, and this word rings a bell. You must be an inspiration to others. People must be looking up to you to either becoming like you or wanting to catch the same fire you are burning with. People must see zeal in you. People must, see something they want to be like, or they want to get better, are doing. Consistency of value adding, being consistent. I don't think any of us have been left out not being consistent in what we do. And that's what, one way God has been keeping us, showing up all the time, even when it's not good, even when you just heard the negative news and you have a podcast to do, you have a show, you still go ahead because of the people, the mindset that we have to be a blessing to the people. We still go ahead. And sometimes you don't even feel like, being on show. But because you have guests or people waiting for you, you just have to wear the hat and just smile. Even if it's not real, you just smile to keep this face, shining. You spoke about the three things, the FKG, finding, the keeping, and the growing. What kind of family are you building? Finding means self-discovery, helping others to discover themselves. If you don't find yourself, self-discovery, you become so selfish, and this will tend towards self-destruction. So more than just looking inward and looking at ourselves and our immediate family, he goes beyond that. And that's what Adebuki just rightly said. Going out, being a community person, impacting your word for people, for God. And we're all faith-based people. And so we know that we have a calling. Everyone has a calling. We will give account on that day. And that's why I said we are made for our calling. You understand? Yes, people get paid for their career because they are working. But beyond that, we have a calling. Each and every one of us have a calling upon our lives. And he says, when you find yourself, you can find others. Like Papa John will always say, if you don't see value in yourself, you can't add value to others. Forget
Mhm.
garbage in, garbage out. You can't give what you don't have. It's impossible. And you can't pretend. If you do that for a while, it will show up. Character smells. You can't hide it for too long. And he says, find yourself, then you can find others. He says, keep being consistent. The keep. It's not a sprint. Life is not a sprint. It's not a one-time run, and you end it. It's a marathon. Until you are called back home, that's your marathon ends that day. But as long as you're living, we've got to keep running and keep running. We need the God factor in everything we do. No one is a self-made man. We've all been helped by God. Have been helped by God immensely. Mute, John, Adegoke, we've been helped by God. And that's why
Mhm.
none of us would do any talking without, mentioning the God factor or remembering something that resonates with our God. Without Him, we are nowhere. We are alive today because we have breath in our nostrils. Some people are paying so much to get oxygen, and yeah, we're getting oxygen for free. you know, Showing up on the inside, on also on the outside. Don't just show up outside looking good and people like, oh, he's a champion, he's a light, he's a leader. But also being a good representative in the home front, you need to grow. And in growing, you have to go far with others. You can't be a loner. And that's why the Bible says, what to him who is alone in the day of trouble? No one will come to your rescue. So, and that's why we need a team. No business thrive on one man. Means if the man dies today, the business goes under. we have to build a team, a formidable team. We have to come together, find our differences, collaborate, and see how we can work. And it says that if two friends live together for 20 years without fighting, they're not true friends. There must be, rancors, and which you would, of course, strengthening. You get to know yourself better. So this was a great session for me. And in order for us to build the community, we need to build our family. And we've all spoken at different, aspects. I think for those who are coming in late, joining us late, and those who are going to be watching, please, I would like you to watch this episode from the beginning to the end. There's so much you want to glean from Dr. John, who has been in the leadership business for the past 50 years, 5 decades. So much you want to glean from Mote Olori, who has been in Newcastle and a professional in that field. You want to learn from her. She's got a parenting show that she does, and she spoke so much, so much. You can see the teenage teacher in her. And Adogoke Omotola, my former VC son, I just got to find out that it was my VC son, the university I am doing my PhD in. So awesome. White is small, it's a small word, pretty small word. And that's why we need to, we don't know where we'll meet. We are like waters. We flow to others. And so whatever you do today, you never know who will be there to recount your good deeds. So I want to thank you everyone for making our time. I don't want to keep anyone longer than necessary, because I know
Thank you.
in some places
Thank you.
it's midnight in
Thank you much.
we are midnight in London. So I want to quickly wrap up this. I want to say thank you to our viewers and the people we come every day to show up for, to share, to speak, and to just impact. I want to say thank you, because if you're not there, I'm not sure any of us will be there to do any show or talk. Thank you for, being consistent and following us. And I want to thank our coaches, Dr. John, Adegoke, and our professor, Mute Olori. I'm giving you that title. You spoke so well.
Mhm.
Others are
Absolutely.
Can I say something, Sandra?
You said?
Can I say something? The
Yes.
name you call me now, Professor. You know, in my university days, there's a particular girl that keeps calling me Prof. You know, so saying it now is like confirming something. So
No, I'm sure you're in that part. But it's not
I
yet manifesting. It will manifest
next time
shortly.
I'm going to be sitting, and Professor John is going to be adding Professor Mute to my name.
Yeah.
Well done. Well done.
Absolutely.
I'm
Congratulations.
Professor Adegoke and Professor
I would
Stanley.
say.
We're all professors in our different fields. I want to
Hmm.
say thank
Thank you for
so
the
much.
honorary title.
Oh,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
thank
Thank you. Thank
you.
you.
Yeah. So wonderful group to talk and learn from. Oh my.
Thank you,
Sorry,
John.
you
Thank
might want
you.
to have a
Thank you,
closing
John.
message.
Thank you.
Any closing
Yes,
message from
thank you.
anyone?
I have one from
Yeah.
one of my students who did a talk about community involvement, and she ended with this phrase: "Don't talk about it, be about it."
Be about it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Don't talk about it, be about it.
Wow.
Awesome. Awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Delightful lady.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What do you have a last message, a last word you want to leave with the audience?
I mean, it's just that we are a reflection of the society we belong. So if you want to have a better society, then be better.
Yeah.
That's just it.
Thank
Thank
you.
Wow.
you.
We lost
Wow.
you. We didn't hear you well.
I said we are a reflection of the kind of society we want. So if we
Okay.
want a better society, then we have to be better.
Sure. Sure. And Professor Adegoke, it's your turn. What is your parting message before we call it a
Wow.
day?
It's about showing up intentionally and inspiring others.
Sure. Thank you so much. For us to make a difference in our world, let's go back to rebuild our family, which is the bedrock of the community, which is also an offshoot to the society. Once we have a right family structure and the family is doing great, the community will be a better place for all of us to live in, and we will bring about a greater society. I want to say thank you so much. Let's go make a difference in our world. Let's make a world of difference. That's you know what that would be? That would be a resonating, our children will come and meet a great world. Let's go out there and become people of difference. Thank you so much and have a blessed evening.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Bye
you
bye.
all.
Yeah, bye. Thanks for the invite.